6 months ago, I had a love for sports, a love for sports cards, and a big crazy idea. And fast forward to now, Rookie Heat AU has done over $38,000 in sales, and we sell just rookie cards. And the part that people don't believe is that it runs just on 3 very simple systems. And I'm going to show you all 3 of those with real cards, real numbers, and real data in this video. And one of these is the reason that so many people are overwhelmed and confused and frustrated when it comes to sports cards, because they're asking questions like, who do I buy? What do I buy? When do I buy them? At what prices should I buy them? Where should I buy them from? What time should I sell them at? What price should I sell them at? How should I sell them? Like on eBay, on CollectX, on whatnot, privately in Facebook groups. Do I need to go to card shows? Like there's so many questions. And these 3 simple systems remove all of them to make decision making easy. And what I like to say is that the reason that all of this feels challenging, that making decisions is so hard, is because we don't have the right models. Nobody has showed us the approach of what actually works. If you go onto social media and you have a look at a lot of the influencers and the gurus, they're promoting a very specific way to go and do things. And oftentimes the entry point is too high for people. But the reality of the situation is that when it comes to sports cards, buying raw to grading works, ripping packs works, buying into breaks works, buying singles works. But they all are their own individual game, and they all have a different trade-off. They all have different risks. They all have different inputs and behaviors that need to occur. Personally, I chose to buy singles, and it has worked tremendous for us. We have done some raw to grading, but it's a different game entirely here in Australia, and I'm not very interested in ripping packs or buying into breaks because it feels more like so many things are outside of our control in regards to what you get. So the biggest thing that I learned when it came to all of this was choosing the right model. Because when you choose the right model and everything becomes simple, the next steps become obvious, the plan becomes repeatable, replicable, and so damn easy to follow. Okay, so we've got 3 moves, 3 simple steps. This right here is the first one. Knowing the data. Now, when I look at the data, I break it down into 2 different sets. We've got the market data on one side. So this is looking at trends, this is looking at pricing, this is looking at volume, this is looking at index value for specific players and for specific cards. For those, the only 2 that I use are eBay sales and Card Ladder. The reason for that is that when you are having conversations with other people, the majority of the population use Card Ladder or use eBay sales, and they are so easy to use. Like, I'll come across here to eBay real quick. We're going to type in, let's go at 2023, Panini, Prism, Victor, Wembanyama, Silver, Prism, RC. And what we're able to do is if we scroll all the way down here to sold items, it is going to come up with all of the latest sales for the different prisms of Wemby. And then what we can do is we can copy and paste that across here to Card Ladder. And we can have a look as well. So there's that $1,500 sale, a couple of PSA 9s, there's another 15. So it looks like that the market value at the moment is going to be around that 14 to 1500. There's a 1400 back in July. And what I really like about Card Ladder, here's a 1900 in July as well, is that you can click on it and it comes up with the Card Ladder value. So what this does is it reflects the card's current market price determined on the value index of the player. So it's just a really nice data point, but it's so easy here to get yourself a finger on the pulse of the actual market for that player and for that card. The other thing that I love about Card Ladder is that you can come into players and you can type in, like you can see here, I looked at, not Jazz Morant, I looked at Ja Morant. And we can see that his overall market compared to the peak back in 2022-23, the index on it, so the rate of growth is down a heck of a lot, and we know why. But when we look at the sales volume, we can see that, recently there's been a lot of activity happening. And part of that is because of different narratives, different trades that have happened. He's now in Portland. It looks like he's going to come back. The signature shoe is like one of Nike's top sellers. So there's so many different things going on there, but we can look at this and start to form our own assumption on Ja and his market. Okay, so that's the first one. What I like to do when I look at those cards, depending on what time of the season it is, I'll always look at the recent comps, but then I'll look at the in-season average, the in-season top, the in-season low, to have a look at, where is it right now compared to those, and is there a reason that it's going to get back to it? I'll look at the off-season average, the off-season top, the off-season low. So the reason that I do these is we're in the off-season for the NBA right now. I have a thesis around Reed Shepherd. I saw that I could get a Prism Black auto of his on the Silver Prism Parallel for $45, which was then around the off-season average. But last season, the average sale was around 60 and the top sales were doing close to 90. So therefore, using that data and what I'm going to show you in the second step, I was able to say, you know what, this is an undervalued buy. This is a really good one. We're going to go into it. And we're already getting offers for $80 plus on it. And then depending on the year that the player has been in the league, we can look at the historical average, historical top, historical low. Okay. The second piece of data is your data. This is looking at the cards that have sold for you. I'm going to walk you through our dashboard very, very soon, which is going to show you the time that cards took to sell, how profitable they were, and what the tags were that are common between them so that you can look at your own data and be like, hey, there is a pattern here that when I buy these specific types of players and these specific types of cards of theirs, they move quick and they have the most profit. That simplifies the buying decision so much. So now knowing what a card's worth is worthless to you if you still buy wrong. So that is step 2, knowing your buy and making buying easier. So the way that I do this, again, it might look complex, but it's really simple. I break players down into different archetypes. We've got the Hall of Fame guys, okay? These guys aren't active. They're not playing anymore. Their legacy's locked. The price is already in. Really high demand, really high liquidity. Collectors love them. The tier under, we've got the elite guys. So these are players that are still active and have a legacy baked in. So they've won championships, they've won awards. They're a tier above the other active superstars. So an example here is that in elite, we'd have SGA, we'd have Curry, we'd have Brunson now that he's won a championship, we'd have Durant, we have Giannis. But in the superstar, these are the guys that are at that level, but they don't have the accolades yet. They don't have the legacy. So we're looking at Luka, we're looking at Ant, we're looking at Cade. Then we have the breakouts. These are the players that are taking the leap. Last season, this was Jalen Johnson, this was Jalen Duren, this was Ahmed Thompson. The guys that are really starting to put it together on the court or on the field for baseball. And their market is starting to increase as well. So they're breaking out. And we want to be able to spot that value before they break out. And then we have the prospects. So these are typically the first year rookies, or in the MLB, these are the guys who have a call-up and a debut coming. Okay, once I've identified the player, I use a framework where I look at their market, I look at their legacy, and I look at the design of the card. So the market is around the player's market now. What's their trend and trajectory? What's their individual narrative as a player? What's the team narrative that they're on? Are they pushing for a deep playoff run? Is it that they're going to make it to the postseason for the first time in so many years? Or is it that they're a non-contender and you don't even want to worry about them? We also look at catalyst events that are coming up. So these are potential sales at exit windows. These are all-star appearances. These are consistent performance, increased runs. These are awards and accolades. These are championships. These are deep playoff and postseason runs. And then we also look at the media attention and the coverage that they're getting in highlight reels, on ESPN, and on other news sources that people are consuming. Once we've analysed the market, we then look at their legacy. This comes down to the players' accomplishments in the past and what's potentially going to happen in the future. So we're looking at championships, we're looking at all-stars, we're looking at awards. So, for instance, someone like Wemby, his legacy isn't baked in yet. He is a phenomenal player, but we don't have any championships or any MVPs, finals MVPs, awards that can really bake that in. So we're still prospecting a little bit at the moment here. And we're hoping that he's not just going to be a generational talent that doesn't win anything, because that's going to impact his legacy long term. Then we look at the design of the card itself. So we look at what set is it from? Is it a mid to high tier set like a Prism, a National Treasures, an Origins, a First Bowman, or a Chrome? Or is it something like an NBA Hoops or a Don Russ? And people just aren't really that interested in it. Because there's a case where you can have a great player but a poor card. Wemby was an example of that for us last season. We bought a ton of his stuff, and all of it except one moved because it was an NBA Hoops parallel. And I was like, oh, it's a green neon parallel. Like, this is going to be great. It's still a $100 card. But it is the one card that sat because of the set. It was the wrong card design to buy into. I learned that lesson, and I won't make it again. So the key when it comes to buying is using your market data to see what your buy price range is and knowing your exit windows. Because you can already start to form a thesis. If I'm going to buy this player because I know that in a few months' time, a few weeks' time, something is going to happen around this event, which is where a lot of attention is going to come in and which a lot of demand is going to come in. And that brings us to the third part of this simple system. It is knowing your exit. And this is honestly the most challenging part of cards, because you can buy a card, but it is worthless until somebody transfers money to you for it. So I always know my exit windows, my sales tools, and even potentially have sales done before I buy into a card. So what I know is, where am I going to sell this? Is it going up on eBay as a buy it now or as an auction? Is it going to go privately to someone that I have a relationship with because I know that they're interested in these sorts of cards or these sorts of players? Am I going to put it up on social because I know that my followers are going to be interested in this, and out of everybody that's on there, there's going to be some people who are like, hey, I'm interested in that? Or am I going to take it to a card show because I know that it's going to be other business owners, flippers, dealers who are interested in it? So I know who I'm selling it to. This is a card that's going to go to this sort of person. I know what price I'm aiming for based on a range, and I know when I'm going to sell it, either in the short term or the long term, based on the different catalyst events that are coming up. Okay? Because those exit windows are determined by the future catalyst event. That's the reason that a card increases in value or a player's market value increases. There's more attention on them, therefore there's more demand into them. Because there's more demand, if there's less supply, price must go up. Simple economics. So we're looking for increased performance runs and increased media attention, mid-season accolades, awards, playoff runs, championships runs, or potential trades. And the big thing that I need to mention here is that if I'm wrong about a player and I have a short-term window that I'm looking at, I sell that as quickly as possible, because I don't want to be holding it and just having it sit on the shelf and for demand to exit that player's market. Because I would much rather taking a small loss and then reinvesting that into a player whose market I know is going to go up in the future. Okay? So it's really simple. Know your data, the market data and your own data. Know your buying strategy, player archetypes, their market, their legacy, the card design, and then know your exit. When are you going to sell it? How are you going to sell it? For how much are you going to sell it? And who are you going to sell it to? So here is a quick example of this in real time last season. I observed Deni Avdija pretty early, once he got traded to Portland. The narrative was there around him as a player, and the narrative was there around him as a team. Portland were young. Deni was going from Washington across there. Dame was out of the picture. So I was like, Scoot's also out of the picture. Drew Holiday isn't going to take much usage. Donovan Klingon's a two-way big, but he's mainly going to run rim to rim. Shaden Sharp's there. He's an X factor. He might get a ton of usage. But Deni's really going to be the guy. And he didn't have that opportunity in Washington, but when he did, he showed it. And then early in the season, we started to see those performances. I think he had, like, the first quarter of the season, he had one of the best seasons out of all the players. He was up there in N1 opportunities, and then that continued to carry, and the narrative began to form. Potential first-time All-Star. At one point, he had more votes than LeBron and KD. And I'm like, whoa, okay, this is really interesting, because what I was observing and the value that I spotted early is actually starting to take shape. So as you can see here, I ended up selling this. Got in at 15, sold it for 88, because I knew the data originally. I bought into a card type that had sold really well for us, a prospect player on a parallel, on a mid-tier set, and it's an auto. And I knew when my exit would be. He's going to the All-Star game. That's going to be it. If the market continues to go up after that, I'm okay with missing out on $40 if it gets to 120. Like, that doesn't matter, because we're able to take this, what is it, 75? Yeah, call it $75 in profit, and reinvest it to go again. So the final thing that I want to show you is the dashboard that we use here at Rookie Heat AU. This is an example of it, and you can get this for free in the link in the bio. What I really love about this is that I have all of this set up to auto calculate things for you. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you an example. I'm just going to type in this Deni Avdia Recon Rookie Auto Red out of 99. I bought it for 15, and let's just say that it was last offseason. Let's just use today's date last year. Okay, I sold it for 88, and I'm going to say that I sold it on the 15th of March 2026. So what you'll see here is that the days to sell is about to auto-populate, and my shipping costs on it were $5. So my profit has now also auto-populated. I can enter my buyer in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my tags as well. So this was a rookie, this was an auto, this was a parallel, numbered out of less than 99, and this was a parallel. So now what happens is you can see that I've got tags on here. When I come across the fastest to sell, if I had more cards in here, it would come up with the top 10. So you can see that I've only got two. The fastest was the Wemby example, and then we've got the Deni example. What I can do is I can look at these and go, oh, these are the top 10 that I had that were fastest to sell, and here's the tags. So if I get rookie cards, parallels, that are less than 99, that's a commonality between them. And then when I come across the most profitable, the same thing happens, but this time it is ranked in regards to profit. So we can look at these are the types of cards that have been most profitable for me. I'm going to buy into more of those. And these are the cards that have been the fastest to sell for me. So the most liquid, they have the most velocity. I'm going to buy into more of those as well. So that's it, guys. That's the entire simple system. Know your data, know your buying, so you buy smart, and know your exit, so you sell smart. Everything else that I do, all the reads, all the market data, it's a specific layer inside of that, which I'm going to go into in a future video. The reason that this is so simple is because I built it to be simple, because I wanted it to be simple. As I said earlier, the dashboard that I just walked you through, it's yours for free. It's in the link in the bio. Just go and use it. You can make a copy for yourself, and then you can start to use it to better track your own data so that you can make better buying decisions and make better selling decisions, and just make those decisions overall easier, which is the game at the end of the day. Oh, and one last thing, there is a number under all three of these which decides if any of it all worked, and it's not your revenue. And I'm going to dive into that in the next video. So make sure you subscribe so you see when that one drops, and you can then see what that number is. And if you like more market data, player profiles, deep dives into and business systems, I'm sharing it every single day over on Instagram. Go ahead and follow us at rookieheat_AU. That's all for now, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here with me. See you on the next video.